Where you going with this? Who you controlling with this? You think you got some nerve? Boy, say word. Cause I'm flowing with this. I think I'm growing with this. I think you knowing with this. I'm gonna show 'em with this. Hey, you guys, you are now tuned in to Trusted Transformation Station with your girl Taisha P. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at Trusted Transformation, we believe that every day is an opportunity for evolution. And I'm so grateful that you came to listen to me run my mouth because I have a lot to share with you today. Well, not that much. I'm going to keep it a little short and sweet, even though short for me is like 10, 15 minutes. But anyways, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was understanding that there are shifts that's going to take place in your life when you decide to take yourself seriously in whatever you choose to do, especially when it's a creative career. And I know, like I said, this channel is for the creatives, and some people can still listen to it even if they're not in that realm, in that space. But I speak to the creatives because I understand that because your job many times is fun or is loose with certain restrictions of how you can move and what you can do, I feel like a lot of people have this misunderstanding that means you can just have whatever attitude towards what you're doing. And I think sometimes that projection that we get from the outside world, we internalize it and show up like that when it comes to our own work. And that is one of the biggest mistakes a creative can make. Because your job is very loose and restriction free, we have to have the strategy, we have to have the structure, we have to have the discipline to make sure that we're putting in that necessary time to get our goals off, to do what we have to do, because we are the driving force behind people seeing whatever our work is, behind people being able to connect and collaborate with us, behind our voice being heard, our art being seen, our impact being felt. And therefore, sitting around and playing around with what you got to do or what you say you're going to be about or what you have to offer is one of the worst things you could do as a creative, because you need for people to understand that you take yourself seriously, and you need to simply just take yourself seriously in action, being seen and shown regularly. The most creative people that we could recognize, and I'm always going to reference, the music industry, for instance, or the entertainment industry as a whole, when we talk about movies, TV. These people, at the end of the day, while we sit down and think, oh, it's quote unquote easy work to just get up and sing a song, for instance, or even how everybody has this thing of, oh, I want to be a rapper, and because they freestyled over a beat and they had a couple cool rhymes. That is not what these people are doing. These people are putting in hours upon hours to dedicate to their craft, to sharpen their steel in whatever it is that they are gifted at, and they feel the world needs to see as a talent that they offer. And it's not something that you could just wake up and say, I'm going to do it today, and then you do it for a little bit and then you're on. That's a mistake that I've made, where I felt like I've reached a certain goal or I've reached a certain aspiration, or there was just some marker, whatever the marker may have been, where I'm like, oh, I reached that? Okay. And then I would chill. And then chilling one day turned into chilling 2 days. And then chilling 2 days turned into a week. And then it turned into a month. And then before you know it, months or even years go by and you're not doing what you say you committed yourself to doing. And then you're wondering why the growth isn't there. And then you're, having these self-deprecating thoughts because you're like, oh man, I was supposed to be here and now I'm not there. But it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Because that's what the missing key is. And that's what you're, sitting down on. And then you're going to have these feelings later of a shoulda, woulda, coulda, when it's like, this is what you know you're supposed to be doing, so why are you playing with yourself? The key is to stop playing with yourself. And I don't mean that in a funny way, but like on some real talk, stop letting time go by and not giving your all to who you say you want to be. Because nobody is going to sit here and create the art for you. Nobody's going to promote you unless you pay for it. Nobody's going to sit here and position you where you want to be. You have to first assume the position, and then people take note and then say, hey, I see what such and such got going on. Let's see what that's about. Let's see if that's something we could get behind. But it's not going to be it just falls into your lap. And something I touched on in the last video, if it falls into your lap, many times it's not going to sustain itself because you haven't done the necessary work to adapt the mindset of somebody that knows how to sustain it. And that's why nowadays I don't feel any type of way. Even if I do feel any way, let me correct myself, it's inspiration. But over anything anybody has, I don't feel any way about it. Because for one, I know that if I'm meant to have it, God would give it to me. And secondly, have I done the necessary work to be in position to have said thing? If I had analyzed my actions and I realized, no, I have not, there's no reason to feel some type of way because I haven't even prepared myself for that thing. And sometimes all that glitters ain't gold. We could sit here and say, oh, wow, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, because we see the benefit of why somebody has certain things. Until they tell you the real, because every up has a down, every left has a right. There's always going to be something that's not necessarily a positive aspect of a certain position, a certain, thing somebody has, whatever. We can't always assume just because somebody has something or somebody been this place and did this thing, it all came just off a happenstance and it's all good and sunshine and rainbows, because that's just not real life. Real life is sometimes things are great and sometimes things are bad. Sometimes things work out, sometimes things fall apart. But either way it goes, if you're putting yourself in prime position, that's what matters. You want to make sure you're always doing what you have to do to get yourself ahead. And I'm not saying work yourself to the bone. I'm not saying, kill yourself down. I'm not saying to do anything that puts you out of alignment with, your internal compass and actually feeling good about what you're doing, because you don't want to do that. There's a lot of people that will work themselves super difficult and then be depressed, then be sad, then be all of that. And, all of that on the negative, just for the sake of obtaining a thing. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to advise anybody to do that. I think that we need to become more comfortable with being in alignment with who we say we are and just taking the necessary steps. This is something, like me speaking to you all right now, this is something I've been was saying I wanted to do. And no, it's not in the conventional manner. And like I said already, don't worry, videos where y'all see me will be coming, but I want to mix it up. I want to make it fun. I want to do different formats because life ain't always going to look the same for me. Meaning, some days the hair not going to be done. So, it is what it is. I ain't getting on camera today. We doing a podcast or video. You know what I'm saying? And my hair's never looking crazy, but, you want to come on looking a certain kind of way, you feel me? Gotta put it to the side for 5 seconds. But either way it goes, the whole idea I'm really trying to get at, and to stay on point here, is I told myself I wanted to work on my brand this year and to really be serious about it. Not just talking to my homeboy, talking to said homeboy, talking to my homeboy, talking to my homegirl, talking to my cousin, talking to my auntie, talking to my mama, talking to my sister, talking to my brother. Yeah, this year we going up. This year I'm doing this, that. And this year I'm doing that. And this year I'm doing that. And nothing's getting done. At this point, I've adapted the mindset of anything that I do, 9 times out of 10, if I'm telling you about it, I did it first. I'm not telling you about it before it's done because I need to make sure I hold myself accountable. And that's another thing too. This is a sidebar. Stop looking for accountability partners and people that don't hold themselves accountable, because they are not helping you with anything. No tea, no shade. If they're not helping themselves, they're not helping you with anything. And I really pray nobody feels no type of way hearing that, but we got to be real about what it is. We cannot look for the map with people that don't know how to read one. We can't do that. We gotta go to who knows what they talking about. We gotta stick to people who know what is actually going on in their world and the world around them, in a way where they are in balance and in sync with their energy and they are doing what they have to do. Sitting there twiddling your thumbs, all you're doing is talking about it. It's not gonna work this year. It's not. Especially if you live in the United States. Because we see what's going on in office and all types of stuff. We gotta have it together this year. We gotta be able to move a certain way. We gotta be able to have ourselves situated like it's not a game. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but if you could read between the lines, you get what I'm saying. It's a lot going on. We have to be very aware. And we have to know who we trying to really position ourselves as in this world. Because life will pass us by if we don't. And we want to be able to say we not only lived, but we was in control of how the life went. There's too many young people that I see just flowing and just going with the flow energy. And I understand the whole going with the flowing energy. Going with the flowing. Yo, what's up, bro? What's up with me today? But no, seriously. You just don't want to be, you don't want to be in a position where you're not putting your best foot forward, all in all. That's the whole moral of the story. You want to hold yourself accountable. You want to look for people around you that are doing what they got to do with their own life to hold you accountable as well, that you could trust and that you know are going to be there for you if you need help or if you need guidance, and they actually have done similar things or just have the wisdom that they can impart into you. Just make sure that you locked in a way where you're really positioning yourself to be who you say you are. I'm not even going to say who you want to be, who you say you are, because eventually you'll grow into said person if you're not there yet, or at least if you're in the beginning stages of it. So I know I got a little hyped up and amped up towards the end, but I'm just so passionate about people really actualizing themselves and actualizing their dreams and their goals and becoming the best person they could be, because we have so much power and potential, especially when I look at the Black community as a Black woman, and I'm like, we have so much, within us that we really need to step into our power and stop playing, foolish, and stop playing, we got to compete out here. We got to compete. You got to keep your head on right. You got to make sure. And competing is not who got the most likes. Competing is who is doing the best with their time, who is making the most of their time on this earth. That is where you compete. So that's all I gotta say. It's your girl Taisha P, signing out. Later, y'all.